Trae Young is down, and the Atlanta Hawks are probably down too. Can they survive without him? Let's talk about it. All that coming up in 20 seconds. So speaking of that, to the other side where it doesn't seem like there's any adjustments on the East. And, well, there's one that adjusts, but I don't know if the other dude has learned how to yet. And unfortunately, I think his team's going to bail him out of losing his job. And I don't like people losing their job, but at the same time, sometimes it kind of, you can tell when it's time for somebody to move. He's being saved. And that's basically going into the Bucks and the Hawks.
So we had a game 3 last night.
Which annoys me that they're like 2 games behind.
Yeah, that annoys me too. The NBA with their scheduling, we could do a segment on that. I don't like how the lack of rest that they've given each of these teams. I mean, it's clearly evident that they're trying to speed this thing along.
Right.
And that, for a lot of reasons, is problematic. Don't have time to get into that. But yes, we had game 3 last night in the Eastern Conference in Atlanta between the Bucks and the Hawks. And the Bucks pulled away late to win 113-102, taking a 2-1 series lead. And within the game, I believe it was the third quarter, that Trae Young got a sprained ankle/bone bruise by accidentally stepping on the foot of one of the refs who was behind him. And that affected his mobility throughout the rest of the game. He's questionable for game 4. Most people think that he's going to play, and I believe he will as well. But the Hawks are down 2-1 with their best player not 100%. So, Jay, is it fair or unfair to say that the Hawks will survive with Trae Young on one leg?
Oh, it's definitely unfair. There's no chance that they survive without Trae Young. Trae Young is the heart and soul of that team. As much as I like everyone around him, I looked at them similar to the way I looked at the 2012 Thunder. Now, this is a very out there comparison, but let me explain.
Yeah, let's hear this.
Let me read back in.
Okay.
The 2012 Thunder were a team that skipped all of the steps. First round, they were an 8 seed, lost to the Lakers, gave them standing ovation here. So he was like, looks like we've got something here. The drafting of Russell Westbrook as well as James Harden was kind of questionable to a lot of people. They weren't sure who they were or what they bring. Help, I'm correct. Russ didn't even start in college at UCLA. He was behind Darren Collison.
That's right.
So people didn't realize who he was as a player. And so you compare them with a great player like Kevin Durant, who we already knew was going to be great. They go out there to the 8 seed, and then the next year they go to the second round, and you're like, oh, okay, this Thunder team may be potential, had a little future to it. And then from there, they went to the finals. And it's like, wait a minute, why is this team in the finals? Because you look, a few years later, you realize they have 3 MVP caliber players on that team.
Right.
And so I'm looking at these Hawks in a similar way. For one, they're young. They don't know that they're not supposed to be here. They're out there having fun. They're playing loose. They're getting comfortable, and they're just balling. I don't know if there's MVP caliber players on this team, if it's just the fluke and the anomaly of what happened with COVID and the shortened season and everything. Because remember, the Thunder went to the finals as well in a shortened season. They went in the 66-game season where the season started on Christmas Day based upon the CBA. So similar scenarios where they skip a line and teams just weren't able to do what they, normally would do going into that. And then, the world kind of right-sized itself, where Oklahoma City dealt with a whole bunch of injuries, et cetera, so on and so forth.
Right.
But this Hawks team, I feel like they have a chance to stay around based upon how good of a team they are. They're all young. They're still under those good contracts. The question is, how healthy will the East be to prevent them from being able to do this again? I don't know yet. I don't even know if we've got what type of caliber players we have from them going forward. We won't know for about 3-4 years if we had MVPs on this roster or not. But I like what I'm seeing out of them. I like seeing that they're so young and they don't know they're supposed to be here and they're still out here balling out. I say all that to say this. Trae Young is the heart and soul of this team. Trae Young is everything. Trae Young and Luka, great. They both were drafted the way they were drafted,
Right.
With Trae being traded. The Hawks don't do anything without Trae Young. Period. Like, that this team does not run without him, say, the engine, because the one thing that he does that is so rare to see in players, which is honestly what makes it even funny in this series, him and Giannis kind of have this in common. They have very short memories. They make a mistake. I mean, Giannis will go out there, shoot a free throw, airball it. The next thing you know, he's going to dunk on somebody. Trae Young will go out there, he'll miss some shots, and then he'll shoot it from the logo. And you're like, wait a minute, dog, you just missed like 10 straight shots, but you pulled from the logo with confidence? All of that confidence is what exerts out to everybody else on the team. And I think that they feed off of that. Him not on the court, they have no one to feed off of.
Okay. So you think that the Hawks, so essentially what you're saying is the Hawks still have a chance, right?
I'm saying the Hawks have a chance if Trae Young is playing. If Trae Young ain't playing, they ain't got no chance.
Well, I'm going to agree with you for a different reason. I would say it is unfair to say that they can't survive without Trae on one leg. I do think they need him out there on the court, albeit even if he's 65 to 70% of himself, albeit even if he's used as a decoy. But there is a game plan for this to work. Because first of all, you have to think, okay, who's going to run this offense if Trae Young isn't going to be what we, physically what he usually is? It's either got to be Lou Will or Bogdanovich. One of those two has to run this offense. Okay, because Trae Young is not going to be able to do that. He's going to have to play off the ball more, might have to spot up more, but he's not going to have his cutting ability. He's not going to have sort of that quick twitch ability to get into the lane. And you don't want him to, because you don't want him to injure that foot or that ankle even further. So one of those two has to run the offense. Second thing you got to do, Giannis is not your problem. Chris Middleton is your problem. You know Giannis is going to get his because he's back-to-back MVP. He's going to get his. You cannot have Chris Middleton getting 38 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists on you. You've got to find a way to keep him in the 20 to 25 range. If you can do that, knowing Giannis is going to get his 30 to 35, you have a legitimate shot. Also, on the other side of that, John Collins, who looks like now he's getting exposed. We thought he could be on a level that can somewhat match what Trae Young is doing, and he was bad in that last game. They need 20 and 10 from John Collins in order to compete with this team without a Trae Young that's 100%. So if you can do that, if you can get Lou Will or Bogdanovich to run this offense, if you can figure out your Chris Middleton problem, and if John Collins can play like a all-star level power forward, you have a chance to maybe not win the series, but to not get gentlemen swept out of the series. That's what they got to do.
I agree with you on that. And one of the biggest problems for Atlanta is that this is a recurring injury for Trae Young. This is kind of like the Steph Curry thing. Like, we always compare him to Steph Curry, and Steph Curry was known for having ankle issues coming into the league. Seems like Trae has a similar one. If I'm correct, he hurt his ankle against Milwaukee when we went and saw them in Atlanta before the
Peach Bowl, right?
Before the Peach Bowl.
Yep, December 2019, like 12 minutes into the game.
Yep.
Night finish.
He was hurt that game. He had an ankle injury October of 29th of 2019. He had a ankle injury.
But you know what's funny about that, though? The game that we watched, that was what, about a year and a half calendar year ago, and how they were like the worst team in the NBA. So to go from that to this in a year and a half, I'm telling you, shows you they can still find a way to compete in this series, even though Trae Young is not what he normally is.
I can give you that. I can give you that ability to come together and play, but they also don't have Hunter, so...
I mean, but I don't know how big of a factor he was. I mean, that hurts him a little bit.
I think he's a big factor, just as an additional piece based upon, because they just got Cam Reddish back. So
they sure did, didn't they?
They just got Cam Reddish back. So they need all the bodies that they have.
Right, everybody's got to pitch in. All hands on deck.
This is an all hands on deck situation. This is not a situation where you can rely on one person, because Bogdanovich has not been that good this series.
And he's battling a bit of a knee issue. He looked better yesterday with how he was moving, but yeah, he's still got a bit of a knee issue too.
Exactly. And so if that's going to be the situation,
so you don't think Lou Will can run this offense in Trae's place? I know that's not his forte necessarily, but you don't think he can do that?
How good has Lou Williams been since he's been to Atlanta? Didn't he almost retire when he got there?
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty good. In the regular season, he was pretty bad. Playoffs, he's been pretty good.
Playoffs, he's been pretty good.
Right.
Let me pull up his numbers while it's in my mind.
Okay.
Make sure I give you guys some accurate stuff. I don't want people to get all upset because we're having fun here talking about these games. So we have this man, Jimmy.
Give me the playoff numbers first. He's been bad in the playoffs. How many minutes is he playing? Give me something.
Okay.
Come on.
Lou is averaging 13 minutes a game. He's scoring about 6.5 points per game on average. He has 2 double-digit scoring averages. But he had a couple of 9 and 8 point games. A couple of 9s.
What do his assist numbers look like?
2 1 2 3 1 1 1 3 0 3 1 2 0 2 and 3. I think Lou Will's starting to show his age.
Bogdanovich is your team now. You're the captain now.
You're the captain now. This is your roster.
Right.
Okay.